Why the first Descendant and other Korean games have so many microtransactions. I didn't know that it took 8 minutes and 50 seconds to say the word money, but let's find out.
So, if you've been playing the first Descendant, you know, that one game with the really good storylines and plot,
yeah,
it's a third-person co-op looter shooter that's got pretty standard mechanics for the genre, so it's a fine game.
Sure.
It's built off Unreal Engine 5, so it's a gorgeous-looking game with incredible graphics. But a lot of people are feeling pretty mixed about the microtransactions and the fact that the store is priced so high for a free-to-play game. And since the game is a looter shooter, it's only PvE, so the items...
The reason why it's priced really high is because if they didn't have it priced that way, they would have had gacha in the game instead, and you would have spent $5 20 times, but instead of that, you spend $100 once, and somehow that's better? Like this is the reason why gacha exists, is because it's easy to convince a dumb person that, oh, well, I'm not spending that much money whenever you're doing it $5 at a time.
You can purchase aren't anything that could be considered pay to win. However, you can definitely purchase...
It's like if I were to... I think that if you did a poll and you polled people on like how much money they spent in a gacha game versus how much money they think they've spent, I think that they would vastly underestimate the amount of money. But I think if you did that same poll for people that have actually just spent money in a game that doesn't have gacha, there would be a stronger like connection to the two numbers, like what they predict and what they actually spent. I feel like 100%.
Items that will help you progress through the game faster with XP boosts.
Yeah.
You're able to purchase a premium battle pass, characters, character and weapon skins, and increased inventory capacity. The in-game currency is unfortunately only attainable through buying it with real-life money.
Yeah.
You can't earn it through playing the game itself.
That's right.
However, you can grind
because
to earn
fuck
new characters,
you, that's why.
but it takes a really long time. There was a Steam review that said the first Descendant released with more real money purchasable items than actual gameplay mechanics. I know we're all...
If you count every individual microtransaction separately, I think they're right.
Pretty used to games that are free to play, usually bringing about a lot of purchasable items in the game, but I've noticed that a lot of Korean games have always had microtransactions in them. Specifically, a lot of Korean role-playing games have a ton of microtransactions. RPGs are the most common games to have microtransactions for skins, XP boosts, and whatever else you might need in them, and Korea has been utilizing the system for a lot longer than some people remember. But why? Why are so many Korean games dominated in microtransactions and oddly predatory items? Good question.
I really want to know the answer to this, because it's like, I can see why China has mobile gaming, because a lot of people spend time on public transportation. But why the fuck did they do this in Korea? Like, what is this? She's justifying microtransactions? I'm going to have a hot take. Get ready to get mad. I don't think there's anything wrong with the first Descendants microtransactions at all. And I think that in terms of on an ethical scale, it is actually quite good. There is never a point where you spend money and you don't know what you're getting. There are never things that are taken away from you. The game is made for free, and most of the things that you can get in the store are available in-game for time spent instead. And even with the different boosts in Kuiper shards or experience or weapon experience or something like that, on gold, I think those are the four, all of those things are accessible in-game, and paying for them regularly functions as a subscription to the game, which is something that I would be okay with. So... And it's only a 30% boost. It's not like a 10x or something like that. So that's my honest opinion about it.
Let's dive into that. Remember MapleStory? That adorable free-to-play MMORPG that released in the US May 2005? That was created by Wizet, another Korean developer that initiated the discussion around microtransactions because its users weren't just in Korea, but also now in North America.
Yeah.
The 5 best-selling games in the United States at this time were Madden NFL 06, Pokemon Emerald, Nintendogs, Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Remember that. Remember that, bro.
And Gran Turismo 4. None of these games had microtransactions, and instead they were just buy and
I wonder if this girl plays WoW. I bet she does, because that's the only one that's purple.
Full games. However, World of Warcraft was the 8th best-selling game in the US that year after it launched in late 2004. So MapleStory and World of Warcraft are arguably the same genre, so you could compare how each did to the other around the 2005 to 2006 era when no other games were introducing microtransactions like these two were. World of Warcraft launched with the requirement of needing a subscription fee to play, while MapleStory was completely free to download. And
it's an interesting approach to view the subscription to the game for WoW as a microtransaction. And I don't necessarily think that's completely wrong. I don't know how to feel about that.
Play, but allowed players to buy in-game cosmetics and enhancements with real money. MapleStory was the first real Korean game to break through to a Western audience, and thus introduced new aspects of how business could be done with gaming. MapleStory featured cosmetic items for sale, but also XP boosts, pets, inventory slots, and drop coupons, which would allow you to roll loot boxes for random items. This was the introduction of RNG and loot boxes to the gaming world that ended up taking off quite abruptly. That all started in 2005 and has just continued on since then. So microtransactions have ruled multiplayer games in Korea for quite some time. But
yeah, it's normalized, right? Because you think about it, if it started in 2005 over there, that's 19 years ago, which is insane to think about, right? So a lot of people, like in 2005, I was 15. So I would have grown up with that. If I had started playing that game, it would have been normal. Yeah, people grew up. This is how microtransactions become normalized in gaming, is that you have the middle group of people that are like between the ages of like 25 and 40. And for us, we grew up in the golden age where you went to Blockbuster, you bought the used game of Super Metroid for $28, and you went home and you played Super Metroid. Now, what happens is that those guys are getting older. Now they're 30, they're 35. They don't have as much time to play the game, and the resentment that they had towards pay to win whenever they were a kid is gone now, because most people, I think a lot of people at least, this is going to be, and I know this might upset some people for me to say this, which is why I'm really getting excited being able to say it, is that I think one of the big reasons why people don't like pay to win is because they can't afford it. And I think that most people don't actually have any principles. They only care about things in the way that they directly affect them. So whenever those people have the money to spend, then they just spend the money and they don't care about it as much anymore, because they never really cared about pay to win on a principle level. They cared a bit about it on the level that they could not pay to win. So now that they can do it, they're okay with it. And so you have the older generation that's becoming more accepting of it because they can take advantage of it. And then you have the younger generation, like let's say you're a guy, you're 16 now, right? You've grown up your entire life. You've grown up with microtransactions in video games. So for you, it's completely normalized. So you have them, it's like you're burning the candle at both ends. And you have like this very, very small, vanishingly small group of people that actually are against microtransactions on principle. That's what I think's happening.
Why do Korean developers choose to go the microtransaction route so aggressively? I mean, if something brought in a ton of money for you, wouldn't you stick with it? Back in 2006, Pearl Research released a games market in Korea report and revealed that microtransactions made up for at least 50% of South Korea's $1 billion online games market. That was back in 2006 when microtransactions...
In 2006?
Only just blossoming, but Korea had already gotten its formula down. Whether or not these microtransactions bring in money from the Western audience really doesn't matter. Yeah. They know they have their core audience down and can depend on their money being spent on in-game items. I really believe this is why Korean MMOs don't survive well in North America. Black Desert Online was fine, but people realized how grindy the game was and how predatory the microtransactions seemed, because it really felt like you had no choice but to purchase items to help you get through the game easier. Lost Ark is another example of things like this failure in North America, but why?
I think that's not accurate. The reason why I think that's not accurate is that Lost Ark was the third most popular game in Korea, and now it's not even in the top 20. So the declining popularity of Lost Ark was actually mirrored in Korea. the game totally fell off in Korea. And you can see like the amount of usage on like the PC cafes of like which games are popular. It massively fell off. It's still popular. No, it's still popular, sure, but it's not as popular. That's what happened.
Why do these games seem to fail elsewhere? I think we have to go and look back at South Korea's gaming culture. PC bangs, or PC cafes, were really just rooms of PCs you could rent for however long to do whatever you needed with them. But PC bangs entering gaming culture really left off in 1998 when Blizzard's StarCraft captured Korean players' interests. Ooh. PC bangs then became LAN centers and specialized gaming rooms that people could come to just to play games they couldn't for not owning a desktop at home. PC bangs were also an interesting source of socialization because you knew most of the people in that room were gamers and they were, for the most part, likely there for the same thing you were.
Yeah, playing the same game.
However, this culture becoming so popular so quickly, just as high-speed internet was also spreading worldwide, wasn't exactly the best thing for gamers in Korea. According to Statista, 92% of Koreans use the internet. In 2002,
I wonder if there's an inverse proportion ratio here if you put this graph on top of the birth rates. I bet there would be.
The rate was 59.4% of the people in the country versus in 2004 were jumped up to 70.2%. To put this further into perspective, 71% of the population played video games in 2021. There's something to be said about a culture having access to the internet and technology so early that it feeds these players not necessarily in a good way. Internet gaming disorder, or IGD, is an established condition that's officially recognized by the World Health Organization. A lot of Asian countries
there are people that are addicted to playing video games. Like, it's a fucking fact. Like, I love how, and this is the problem, right, is that you have gamers that try to act like you can't get addicted to video games. Bro, people get addicted to everything. So, of course, you can get addicted to a game. But there's also people that act like playing video games at all is an addiction. And I think that's why it's like two groups of like crazy extremists. But the reality is like, yeah, people can have video game addiction. It is a legit thing, 100%. But just because you're a fan of video games and you play video games a lot even, doesn't mean that you are a victim of video game addiction. It's like saying everybody who drinks alcohol is an alcoholic. No, there's just some people that are.
More people who suffer from IGD than others. And the American Psychiatric Association found that when these people play internet games, certain pathways in their brains are triggered in the same direct and intense way that a drug addict's brain is affected by taking drugs.
Of course.
South Korea has had many reports of gamers failing to take care of themselves, and sometimes even dying when refusing to get up from a game to take a break. ABC reported in August 2005 on a 28-year-old Korean man who collapsed in a PC bang after playing 50 hours of StarCraft, and his death was deemed heart failure from exhaustion. In 2010, CNN reported...
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, somebody does this. That's natural selection. Yeah, you dumb as fuck, you do this. Like, anybody could tell you this is stupid. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, I don't really feel bad for people that do this. Like, you're so stupid you do this.
On a Korean couple who neglected their infant daughter to keep playing games. Specifically, Prius Online that, ironically enough, required players to raise a magical girl. Their daughter died due to lack of food or attention.
Jesus!
The games that dominated Korea for so long were games that required a lot of attention for long spans of time.
That's
Think
sad,
about StarCraft, MapleStory, or any other MMORPG. Psychologist Professor Mark Griffiths, author of several online gambling and gambling addiction studies, stated that people liked playing MMORPGs for such long durations due to the social aspects. Griffiths said, quote, "They are the types of games that completely engross the player. They are not games you can play for 20 minutes and stop."
Well, they're like, the good thing with MMOs and like the way WoW used to be and good MMOs are is that whenever you get tired of playing the game, you do something else in the game rather than stop playing the game. Like, you guys remember this in, like, remember Halo 2, Halo 3 lobbies? Where, like, you would get tired of playing Halo, so you'd just sit in lobby and talk to other people for a while? Remember that? Yeah. And so, like, that's the way online games are. So, like, when you get tired of playing the game, like, there'll be a lot of times, like, I would play WoW, and I would log on, and they're like, "Do you want to do anything?" I'm like, "No, like, I'm just here to chill," right? I'm just here to chill and talk to people and, like, sit and vent and, you know, fucking bullshit around, right? So, like, yeah, look at Final Fantasy 14. Like, you go, bro, look at where all the hoes are at in, like fucking the Limsa area, right? That white area. Or, like, going to one of those nightclubs. Those are not, bro, that's not people that are looking to, like, play combat, right? These are people that just want to hang out. Yeah, Grand Exchange and RuneScape. Yeah, that's just the way it is.
If you're going to take it seriously, you have to spend time doing it. Korea is aware of the issues surrounding gaming and addictions, and in 2011, the Cinderella Law was passed that required games to add automatic shutdowns for children 15 or younger after midnight. While Korea definitely wants to tackle the issues of addiction and prevent people from hurting themselves or others while gaming, the bigger issue is just how much gaming has become a part of the culture.
I think also, like, with Korea, and I'm not really 100% on this, but, like, I've talked to, like, a few girls in Korea, and apparently it seems like there's a lot of, what's the word for it? There's a lot of, like, class consciousness in South Korea. That's why you see so many, you see so many, like, people that are, like, trying to get plastic surgery and shit like that. So, and this is the case with, there is, yeah, right? And so, like, the more class consciousness that a culture has, I think the more that microtransactions will be successful. Because people that are class conscious will want to be conspicuous about that, right? They'll want to brag about it and show it off to people, whereas somebody who's not won't really care about it. Korean people have the if you're broke, just say so mentality. Well, the rice eater mentality, right? That's what they call. Like, so I heard about this and I didn't really even believe it, right? And then I was talking to, like, a chiropractor, like, because I was at his office for, like, my back, and he was, like, Japanese. And he was telling me, he's like, yeah, my mom didn't want us to eat a lot of rice because if you ate a lot of rice, you're fucking poor. And I was like, and I told him about this shit with, like, Lost Ark. And he's like, yeah, that's how people think. Yeah, that was kind of wrong. You said it was kind of wrong because, do you think it's a racial thing? Yeah, no, it's not. You can tone police somebody else, okay? Like, all the normal adults here are having a normal conversation. So, yeah, anyway, besides that, it's crazy. Yes, it's absolutely crazy the way they are over there. Yeah.
Games are one of the biggest moneymakers for the country, and it's only expanding with Korea becoming the largest producer of mobile games that utilizes the free-to-play microtransaction model. Mm-hmm. According to Statista, the mobile gaming market in Korea is a little under $7 billion, and over 50% of Korea's population plays mobile games. I'm not trying to demonize developers, but when you see a monetization model that works and generates billions of income, you're bound to stick with it, especially when you know your audience is susceptible to spending tons of money in your games. Gaming has always been huge in Korea, and microtransactions have been present just as long.
Yes,
most Korean gamers do not care about the costs and just want the serotonin that comes from leveling a max character or even just playing games to escape real life. So microtransactions really don't mean a lot in Korea. It's not exactly the most uplifting thing to hear, but Korea is taking steps in trying to combat video game addictions. As for microtransactions, there was actually a Game Industry Act.
Not going to be able to combat that, by the way. Like, especially, I think also people become more addicted to escapism the more class consciousness and the more superficial a society becomes. So, like, the more somebody is, like, worried about their appearance, or the more people care about how much money you have, the more people will try to escape into, like, a fantasy world. I think this is just, like, logical, right? So I think it's just going to keep getting worse. It's going to start getting like this for China, too. It already has.
In Korea in March 2023. That defines loot boxes and requires the game developers, distributors, and service providers to detail the type of loot boxes and information on the odds and probabilities of getting items publicly and easily seen. There are new laws being implemented to try and protect the people who are susceptible to buying more transactions in games. Slowly.
I don't agree with that. Like, I don't really care about people that are susceptible to buying microtransactions. You know what I call those people? Morons. I call them morons. And I don't think that we need to baby-proof the entire world to protect morons. I think it should be stated that this is the case. But, like, should you not be able to buy a loot box? I mean, I don't know. Like, maybe, maybe not. It depends. Like, I think that it definitely serves no business to, like, oh, there's a roach on the... Oh, look at that. I mean, he'll be back, right? It's not a big deal, but, like, he'll respawn. He roached out. Yeah, he did. He roached out. Like, I actually don't think I can get him here. I lost aggro, yeah. Anyway, what was I even talking about here? Fuck, I forgot. Oh, yeah, people that are stupid that spend money on microtransactions. Like, if you can't control what you're doing with your money... I'm sorry, but like I don't have I don't have any sympathy for you. No sympathy. Control yourself. Don't buy things. I don't think that you should be able to, like, now that I think about it, yeah, I don't think actually you should be able to sell loot boxes. Like, I feel like if I made a game, I would have no problem putting loot boxes in it because, like, it would just be, it makes money. But the truth is, like, I don't think you should be able to sell loot boxes. The reason why is that I think it's never in the consumer's best interest that they pay for something that has artificial scarcity that's uncertain. It's just bad. There's no benefit for the customer.
Try and protect the people who are susceptible to buying more transactions in games, slowly but surely. As for the first Descendant, I think the microtransactions are definitely weird and overpriced, but they're not necessary by any means. Sure, some items can be bought.
I don't think there's anything wrong with the microtransactions. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think there's anything wrong with them.
To minimize the grind, but it's PvE, so really who gives a shit? Thanks for watching, and if someone you know is struggling with addiction, call 1-800-GAMBLER for the National Problem Gambling Helpline. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.
That was a good video, man. I didn't expect it to be to be like that. Yeah, they're overpriced. Yeah, but like they're overpriced. Okay, then just don't farm them and farm them in game, right? That the easy solution there. Why don't gamb us? I'm okay. Yeah, there's the video. Give it a like. That was a really good video. Yeah, she's only got 5,000 subscribers. Like I feel like one of the reasons why this shit is really popular is because a lot of people, like, I didn't even realize this, but a lot of people actually take pride in the skins they have in games. And like, I get taking pride in a skin that you earn from like getting top 100 in a game or doing something, but these are people that take pride in things like, I spent $37 on this. How the fuck can you, like, I feel like that's like wearing, you know, that those hats with the propeller on it that stupid people wear? Oh, do we get him? Wait a second. Gotcha, bitch. Gotcha, bitch. Say hi. We got him right here. I'll be right back.